Hey everybody, my name is Russ. I'm a Phoenix-based cartoonist and the creator of Amazing Arizona Comics, a mini-comic that satirizes Arizona news, history, and culture with superhero adventure. You can find my comics online on Instagram at AmazingAZComics or on my website, AmazingArizonaComics.com. You know, as I was preparing for Phoenix Fan Fusion this year, which is what we call our Comic-Con here in Phoenix, I realized I've been exhibiting at Comic-Cons for over 20 years. So I thought, why not create a series of YouTube videos sharing some of the bits of wisdom, some of the lessons I've gleaned from these past 2 decades for folks that might be thinking about setting up in their local artist's alley for the first time. Or maybe you're like me and you've set up at Comic-Con for several years and you're just looking for a fresh perspective on things. Well, I hope this video is fresh enough for you because I'm going to share what I believe are some fairly controversial opinions about Comic-Con, like, why? Why do you want to set up at Comic-Con? Why do you want to run the risk of people criticizing your work? Maybe you've gone for years as an attendee and you just love the celebration of all of these fandoms that we so enjoy. What makes you want to go from that side of the table to the other side, where you're a part of the scene? Well, I think that answers the question, right? You want to be a part of the scene. You want to contribute to the culture and to the celebration that you've loved so much. Well, I want to warn you in this video that some of the things you've loved most about Comic-Con as an attendee over the years may be one of the biggest, or some of the biggest, challenges that you'll face as an exhibitor. Comic-Con at its core is an industry expo. Comic-Con, the center of what it is, it's a business show, like any other industry show. You know, I drive around Phoenix throughout the year and see billboards for, like, the Home and Garden Show at the Arizona State Fairgrounds, or the Bridal Expo at the Convention Center, or the RV Show in the parking lot at the sports stadium. Comic-Con is really no different than any of those shows. At its core, it is an industry trade show. But over the years, we fans have transformed that trade show, that convention, into this celebration. And I say without hesitation that Comic-Con has essentially become a cosplay fashion show, and everything else at Comic-Con is supplemental or secondary to the spectacle of the cosplay. I think that's just the way it's just the way Comic-Con is generally perceived. I mean, watch the morning news the next time Comic-Con is in your town. Watch like the Friday or Saturday morning news of the weekend of the Comic-Con and see what they're covering. See how they're covering the show. Are they talking to John Romita Jr., who was just here in Phoenix, about his decades of drawing practically every well-known mainstream superhero? Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, anybody you can imagine John Romita Jr. has drawn. Are they talking to him on the morning news? Are they grabbing Jim Starlin, the guy that wrote the Infinity Gauntlet, which inspired Infinity War and Endgame, which is like the cornerstone, the pillar of the MCU, one of the biggest cinematic franchises of all time? Are they talking to Jim Starlin? Or are they grabbing 2 Klingons out of the line who are waiting for their badges and talking to them about their favorite memories or what they love most about Comic-Con? Are they grabbing a Deadpool and making him do like weird kung fu moves in front of the convention center so that the anchors in the studio could have a laugh? I've seen it every year in multiple cities, and that's exactly how Comic-Con is covered. And rightfully so. I love the fact that these cosplayers are essentially built-in marketing for Comic-Con. Without them, general audiences might not come. Because frankly, 9 out of 10 people on the street don't know who John Romita Jr. or Jim Starlin are. But they certainly know who Deadpool is. They know who Harley Quinn is. And it's a hoot to see people craft these beautiful costumes to look just like these characters we all know. So grab the kids. Come on down to Comic-Con. It's a family event all weekend long. So I get it. It's a marketing strategy. And if these cosplayers are bringing people to the show that otherwise wouldn't have come, and these are more eyes than ever that I'll have on my work in Artist's Alley, so be it. But I also have to embrace the fact that these folks are in competition with me for the general attendees' attention. I'm competing with Deadpool for everybody's attention in that convention center. And what can I do to stand up, to stand out, to make a significant impact at the show? Well, again, I call back to those industry trade shows. The RV show, the Bridal Expo, the Home and Garden Show. I've been to some of these conventions. And let me tell you that when you go to an industry trade show, generally, you are leaving with a tremendous swag bag. Okay, you are walking out of the convention center with a canvas bag that has somebody's logo on it. And in that bag, you have sublimated travel mugs. You have coffee cups. You have lanyards and pens and stationery and keychains and these weird little stress balls that are shaped like all sorts of weird stuff. And everything has a logo on it. Because you're most likely not even going to these conventions to do business. You're going there so these small businesses in that industry can introduce themselves to you. And when you want their goods or services, you will double back and you will call them based on this stuff you brought home. You know, somebody's sitting in their backyard 2 months later and they're like, you know what would be great back here is a hot tub. Do we know any hot tub companies? Yeah, remember you got the jacuzzi-shaped stress ball at the Home and Garden Show? Oh yeah, here it is. Let me call this number and we'll get a hot tub. That's what these industry shows are like. And unfortunately, the spirit of Comic-Con is so shrouded by the carnival of the cosplay and the food trucks outside and the nighttime programming and entertainment that we forget that it's a trade show. And that if you're exhibiting there, you should, like many of these small businesses do in these other industries, give something away. Have something for free. Because that's how a lot of attendees will remember who you are after the show. I know it's potentially controversial. Artists want to sell. They want to make money. But are you going to measure the success of your Comic-Con by how much money you've made? Or are you going to measure it by the potential impact you've made in your community as an artist? That's just wherever your priority lies. And you need to establish that pretty early on, or a show of any significant size could feel pretty daunting. A lot of artists use the phrase, make table. I need to make my table back for this to be a successful show. If you've spent $300 on a 4-day Comic-Con, that $300th is the threshold to success. That's what a lot of people think. But you know what? Before this last year's show, especially after the 2-year hiatus of COVID, I thought I want to get a new tablecloth. I want to start fresh and get a new tablecloth. So I got one. It's about $15 at Target. So my table cost wasn't just $300. It was $315 because I invested $15 in a new tablecloth. Not to mention the books I printed just for this year's show that I put on that tablecloth. So am I including the printing and production costs of my product to get to that threshold? And if I'm including those costs, why not the materials I used to make those comics? The Bristol board, the Micron pens, the pencils, the erasers, so many erasers. Am I going to include the cost of all of these materials to what my table investment was? And that's the magical number I need to reach for this to be a successful, profitable show? No matter what you make, all of those variables come into play. So is that how you're going to gauge success at Comic-Con? To me, it's an immeasurable number that goes as far back as the very conception of the idea of the thing that you're going to make. So how far back does that number go? But I dare present to you the possibility that if the number, the monetary number of how far back you need to go to make that show successful is immeasurable because you've invested so much in materials and production and display, well, then you got to think, too, that there's a potential for that number to be immeasurable moving forward after the show. That show can continue to make you money when it's over if you just have the forethought to prepare something to pass out for free. And I'm not talking about anything that betrays your product. I don't want you giving away your comics or crafts for free. I'm talking about business cards. I'm talking about quarter sheet flyers. I'm talking about maybe you make an ash can of your comic, just the first few pages copied onto a black and white piece of paper that's folded, and you pass it out to the kids on Family Day, on Sunday. And where that last panel on the 4th page would be, you've removed it, instead put your social media or your Etsy store or something, so that when these folks get home and they're going through their swag, They're going through the stuff they bought or got for free, which may not be a lot of stuff, by the way, because maybe people aren't giving away things for free. They see your material. They see your product. They double back and find you online. All of a sudden, they're following you on Instagram. Maybe they're reaching out for a commission. Or they're buying the books they said they would, but at the time they didn't have the cash on them. Well, they could do it now, at home, via PayPal or Venmo or whatever. It behooves you to have something that you can give away for free, because it might be a gateway for somebody to buy something from you later. And you know what? No matter what you're making and selling, if somebody's buying something from you, they've given you cash and you've given them product, you got to make sure that whatever you're giving them has your social media on it, has your logo, or your branding, like this. Make sure that everything that leaves your table has that information. Because yes, selling things is the point. That's what we're here to. I want to get my work out there, but what's the point if they can't find you later, right? Come back and get more stuff from you for the rest of the year, the 361 other days of the year. Give them the opportunity to find you with everything having your logo or branding or something on it. If you're making crafts, put it on your price tags. Somewhat give out a receipt. And even if the receipt isn't specific to the purchase, it just says, thank you for buying something from my table. Here's where you could find me in the future. It's as simple as that. And it's critical because you are at a trade show. Again, forget the carnival. Forget the spectacle. You're running a small business for those few days. And you want to operate with the mentality of you want to get future business as well, like any business does. Now, my strategy personally is to sketch for people for free. Again, I consider this show business. This is my stage. And what attracts people at an open mic? Well, if you can do a quick Don't Stop Believin' on your acoustic guitar, you know what I mean? If you can do a little free bird, everybody knows those songs, so you could squeeze in some original songs in between during your set. That's how I think about sketching Batman or Deadpool for somebody for free. I'm going to play them the hits. And when they're walking by my table, I don't shout out anymore, you want to check out my comics over here? You want to see what I've been working on? Because I did that at San Diego and here in Phoenix for years. And now that I'm drawing for people, and it only takes a few minutes, I'm asking instead as people are walking by, hey, can I draw your favorite superhero for free? I'm not saying, hey, come over here and check out my stuff. Hey, come over here and do something for me. I'm saying, hey, what can I do for you? Can I draw you something? Can I make your Comic-Con experience a little more special with this talent I have? And while they're locked in at my table for 2 minutes and I'm doing a quick pencil sketch, I have an opportunity to pitch my book to them, to give them that sales pitch I talked about in the last video. Now, that's not to say you shouldn't do commissions that people pay you for. You know, pencil sketches for 20 bucks, head sketch or something inked for 50, you know, full color for 75 to 100. Whatever you do, if you consider sketching as a strategy to get people to your table, I don't think that is mutually exclusive to the fact that you can do paid commissions as well. You're just banging out a 2-minute sketch. You know, it doesn't have to be your primo work, but it's just enough to show these folks that you're capable of doing it in the wild. Here's a sample of what some of my work might look like. Hey, if this is what I can do in 2 minutes, imagine if I took my time and told a story in my comics. Check this out. So if you're a self-publisher like me, that strategy offers an incentive for people to come over. Of course, I put out a tip jar as well and collect some money and make some of my table back in that way. But what's most important to me is the experience, that interaction, getting to know people while they're there, why they're there, and hopefully they'll get a little sense of why I'm there as well. And it's to show off my love of comics. It goes back to the reason I attended Comic-Cons in the first place. You're selling there for the same reasons you wanted to simply be there. But it cranks things up to 11, and it creates a sense of responsibility and urgency to your art. Do yourself the favor of treating Comic-Con like a business expo, because when you do, it will pay off in more ways than one. Thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate it. In the next video, I'm going to talk about what your table should look and feel like. Finally, right? That's probably what you thought a series of videos about setting up at Comic-Con would be like. But it's a state of mind before we get to the logistics of setting up a table. So I appreciate your watching these videos. Again, you could follow me on Instagram at AmazingAZComics, or Subscribe to this channel, Karaoke Fanboy TV, where I talk about my love of comics and action figures. I have a series called Just Open It, where every week I open a recently acquired action figure, toy, or collectible. And so I'd love for you to watch those videos as well. In the meantime, my name is Russ. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.